Suzuki community. I teased you last week about doing a solid spacer, so I'm going to show you the tricks to do that today. I'm a little beat up from building the new office. I'm sure by now you heard we had a fire out here, but we're back pretty much functioning 100%. Both of my workers' dads died within 10 days, so if you got an order here, we'll be getting it out soon. So today we're going to be talking about doing solid spacer, and I happen to be working on a differential from the sidekick that's going into our hybrid axles. Now I've already kind of worked on this a little bit. You're going to see some still pictures that are going to explain some details. I just want to go over a little bit about them. I'm going to let you know that you always want to do dots because these main caps are only for this casting. If you're not aware, this is very similar to an engine block. The factory bolts on these main caps, then they bore it, then they tap it, and that's how come it's a straight line. So if you lose the main caps or you think you can put them somewhere else, you cannot. So before you ever take them off, you're going to go ahead and identify them in such a way that you can. Once you do that, then the 17s come off. I've already taken off the locking tabs. You know what those are. So we're just going to go ahead now for ease of use. We're going to take the main caps off. I've already taken the carrier out, as you can see it right there. This particular one is going to be an ARB, so we'll see about making a video for that when the ARB shows up. I've only been waiting about a month for that. Okay, I've already busted loose the nut, which you saw fall off of there, and I did have to use, like you will a lot of times, you'll have to use a pulley to get the flange off. So this is what we're going after today. We're going after this stupid crush collar. So I could show you by hitting this with the hammer, which is a lot less stress than if you have a locker or big tires or you happen to step on the gas with one of our turbos. But this guy changes. It's called the crush collar. It is a one-shot deal. In other words, putting these in is a pain in the butt. You've got to put it all assembled together with the seal and tighten it until you think you have it. If it's too tight, you get to throw it away and start over because this will not expand out. And that's the problem. Once you shock it, then the pinion is going to get loose, and that is going to, number one, take out your seal. So if you have a leaky pinion seal, you most likely have got a bad crush collar. Another thing it's going to do is it's going to allow the pinion to dig into the ring because it's wallowing around. Please understand, Timken roller bearings are always under some kind of preload. We'll be discussing preload a little bit more when I talk about preloading the Timken taper bearings on the carrier. And so what I do is I usually will take this out. Remember, it doesn't shrink back out. I mean, it doesn't stretch back out, I meant to say. So I've measured this. You've seen a picture, well, you'll see a picture. And then I've come up with a solid spacer that is very similar to that. Now the shim kits, they're going to come in odd and even shims, so you can get right to the thousandths of what you want. Now the beauty of this solid spacer is that you cannot shock it. It cannot be changed. I could hit this with a sledgehammer and it's not, well, it might bend it, but it's not going to change the tension on the preload. So that means for the first time you can take this nut out in the field, you can pull the flange out in the field, you can pop a seal, which by the way I've got to pop the seal because when I do a solid spacer I really don't do a seal. I put the seal in last after I get it all set up. Okay. Always going to take the pinion bearing out, take a look at it, nice and shiny, nice and clean, no ridges in the race. We're going to be rebuilding this one anyways. I just wanted to show it to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop the solid spacer on. We do not have a seal in. We're going to put all the shims in. Now, as you're taking this apart and putting it back together again, you always want to look on the back of this bearing, because I haven't even started yet, but I want to, actually I don't want to use one of those. I just want to show you something. Because we're dealing with grease, because we're dealing with oil, they stick on the back. And so here you are playing with it, and then one gets stuck here, and then you go, why is it loose all of a sudden? So always look at this when you take out the pinion. Look at the back of the pinion bearing, make sure that there is not one there. Okay, we're going to shove that up. We're going to put the bearing in. We're going to put the flange on, and this particular one's dirty. So I've got to get the flange nut thread showing. So we're going to hit him with a rubber hammer, well, about the base of the hammer. Alright, you're going to take the nut after you have it revealed, the threads revealed on the pinion, and you are going to impact this very, very tight. As tight as you can get it. If you have an earthquake, you have a big breaker bar, just get it as tight as you can. It's so simple. If it's loose, you need to add more shims. If it's tight, you need to take a shim out. It's that simple. Once you get down to it where you have it, this is going to spin when you spin it, but when you let go, it's not going to spin anymore. And as you rotate it, it's going to rotate nice because there's no seal, and it's not going to have any hard spots. It's going to be the same tension while it rotates. So once you have that, you take the nut off, you separate the pinion again, now you put in a new seal. And whether you know it or not, you're always supposed to grease a seal. So this is one of the seals you'll grease. You get grease, you put it inside the seal on the two lips. I want to show that to you. So we're going to show you, oh, here it is. So there's two lips inside. I'm going to show you a still picture of this. But there's two lips inside. You just simply fill those up with grease, put the seal in, put the flange back, tighten the nut. And what I do is I put this on the floor. I step on this and I pull and I try to go this way, and once I have no movement but free spin on preload, I'm going to be really happy with that. So if it's too tight, you add a shim. If it's too loose, you take a shim out. Okay, it's that simple. Alright, now I want to talk about now is your spanner nuts. I'm going to put you in a picture. It's not real, but we're going to show you a picture of what's happened to many people, because this is a stamped part. And on the inside here is a razor blade on every single one, and it is sharp as a razor blade. So if you happen to be sticking your finger in this spanner nut and you go like this with your finger, you'll see the picture in a minute. I like to use a tool. I made this tool for Toyota and Suzuki. It's just a round plate, threaded holes, put a couple of Allens in, weld the socket on it, and now you've got something you can turn it with the tool, not cut your fingers. When I do a carrier, what I always go for is to take the ring on my left side, because as you know, there are two spanner nuts. And once I get the carrier in and get these going, I am going to turn it so that the weight of the ring goes all the way down onto the pinion. Then I'm going to take the spanner on the opposing side and turn that in to get a little bit of play. I always use the one on the ring side, and just to give you an example here, this is the ring side pushing into the pinion. I always will want to tighten this one last. What you're looking for, because you probably have seen pictures of this, what you're looking for is a free play. I'm just going to leave it in there so you can see it. What you're looking for a free play of 12 to 20 thousandths. So you can set up a gauge here. These are so simple to do. I don't normally use a gauge. I go for a feel, because I got my pinion, got to always set the pinion up first. And so if you just set a dial indicator here, you're looking for 12 to 20 thousandths. Now if you're using the ring and pinion that are older, used, let's say, because in a sidekick there are no aftermarket gears. So ring and pinions are only going to come out of sidekicks and trackers. And there's two rears that are 26 spline. You have your 10 bolt and your 12 bolt. So be very careful when you're ordering an ARB that you order the correct bolt pattern, 12 or 10 for your sidekick. They've got to know that when you order your ARB, because there are two different ones for the sidekick. And of course, we are using this rear differential with 26th line ARB. We're going to be putting this in the front of a hybrid axle for Will. Okay, so what I am trying to explain here now is that as I use this spanner nut in the back to push the ring into the pinion, the preload is 12 to 15 inch-pounds. That's not very much. It's a twist of your wrist. But you've got to preload these bearings into the taper, otherwise it could walk. So once you have got that 12 to 20 thousandths, once you've got your last push in with your spanner nut, this is your spanner nut, and you have a nice little rock, then you rotate it and make sure you don't have any rough spots. Because if you have a little bit of grit under the ring will be crooked, and as it digs into the pinion, it will feel rough. That is the trick to doing solid spacers. We sell solid spacers by themselves. We sell solid spacers with seals, and all of the differential rebuild kits, unfortunately, they come with the throwaway crush collar. We have not been able to get any of the manufacturers that we buy from to belly up to put the solid spacers in. They still think that, you know, if the factory did it, then it's good enough. But solid spacers have proven themselves in Toyota axles. We've been using solid spacers in all of our differentials for almost 3 years now. We're not getting people to come back after locker installs because of, you know, loose pinions. Anyways, very simple. Thank you very much for letting me show that to you. We'll always look for your comments, because I am getting a lot of comments about how appreciative you are that I'm explaining this stuff. But maybe if you would comment what you'd like to see, that would be awesome. So don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the like button, smash the like button, all that stuff, because we're building the channel, and we do appreciate you watching it. We appreciate you sharing it. So thanks a lot for listening to me. Now we're going to go back and build the office for the rest of the day. Thank you, folks. Have a good one. Go wheeling. Bye.